reforms and how they are working in the practice at the agency. And Ms. Corsick, could you comment on that? And then Mr. Harrell and then Mr. Miracle.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you. I think as I mentioned earlier, we've seen direct results from the words that you just mentioned to a more efficient regulator. And it's a combination of new things coming in, so think of construction permits or licensing permits. You know, they've Kairos Power showed improvement. I think X-Energy showed improvement. I think X-Energy's was 9 months ahead of schedule, still with the same high bar of safety. So we're not talking about cutting corners. We're simply talking about going through things and doing them in a more efficient manner. We've seen it on subsequent license renewals for the current fleet. We've seen it on licensing for the advanced reactors. So I would say across the board, real culture change at the regulator has occurred to be able to prioritize the important risk-significant conversations and get things approved in a timely manner.
Mr. Harrell?
I would agree with Ms. Korsnick. I think we're seeing the tangible benefits of nearly a decade of your all strong work here, driving forward modernization at the NRC and multiple administrations leaning into that issue. And it's going to be really critical so that we can capitalize on the Vogtle moment, right? Like in the end, Vogtle is a massive success story. Even with the cost overruns, I think the Georgia ratepayer is going to be very thankful for that long-term investment. And we've got to find ways to build more of those reactors and leverage the lessons learned from Georgia and find ways to build new advanced reactors as well. And so these nimble processes are really critical to scaling and meeting our goals to meet rising demand, grow American manufacturing, and ultimately reduce emissions.
Let me give you two examples, real world examples. One, frequently the NRC staff would have a particular piece of information they wanted to get an answer. An applicant would provide that information, and the NRC would say, well, that's not what we wanted, go back and give us something else. It was very much bring me a rock. That attitude has significantly changed. The agency is actually more forthcoming about what it expects in the information to be provided, I think is being constructive. That is a direct consequence of the ADVANCE Act. The other one is the agency would frequently in the past have wave after wave of requests for additional information from a licensee. That took up extraordinary periods of time where the ping pong match between the agency and the applicant took place. Now the agency has adopted more of an audit process where they'll actually sit down with the applicant, walk through those questions, address them on the spot. Where more research needs to be done or more information needs to be provided by the applicant, they can do that. Saves an extraordinary amount of time.
So it's important what Congress does to assist you in doing this in an efficient manner.
Congress and this committee have done an extraordinary job over the last 10 years of providing waves of legislation that have allowed this industry to thrive and for the NRC to be a more efficient regulator, yet at the same time meeting its safety mission.
Okay, and what we need to know is what we need to do to go forward to make this industry reliable for the future. With that, I'm out of time and I yield back. Thank you very much.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from Virginia is now recognized for at least 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Ranking Member Castor for holding this very important hearing today. A safe and well-regulated nuclear energy sector is key to a true all of the above energy strategy that lessens our crippling reliance on fossil fuels and supports true American energy independence. And I appreciate the relatively bipartisan nature of the bills that are before us today, but I do have concerns with some of them and believe that we have a meaningful opportunity to work in a bipartisan manner to bring more nuclear energy safely online and meet our growing energy demand. That being said, I continue to have concerns over the Trump administration's actions that are targeting the NRC and its independence. These actions inject an unnecessary level of uncertainty that could jeopardize projects that are currently in the works and also put safety at risk, as we've heard. And just to point out a couple of very serious concerns, we've had DOGE-affiliated staff with no experience in nuclear safety who have forced out career safety experts throughout the government and tried to illegally make the NRC into a rubber stamp. And we have 2 current commissioners that have warned that they fear they could be fired at any moment if they refuse to approve a nuclear reactor due to safety concerns. As someone with a nuclear power plant in my district, safety is top of mind, and we need to be sure that we are maintaining the safety of these projects. Work is also underway in my district to establish one of the first commercial-scale nuclear fusion power plants in the country. And this was made possible by the ADVANCE Act, which contained provisions related to regulating fusion and ensuring that this cutting-edge technology has a place in the future of American technology. So, Ms. Corsick, do you believe that the NRC is adequately balancing the need for regulation with facilitating the growth of this novel technology, which has a lot of potential to revolutionize energy production? And where do you think the NRC can improve its oversight and provide greater certainty for projects that are currently in progress?
Is your question specifically fusion or broader?
I'm interested in fusion if we have time broader, but I also have one more question I want to ask.
Okay, well, if I'm just going to say broadly for the NRC, I would say the NRC has demonstrated amazing resilience and has highly dedicated staff, and I have high confidence that the NRC is able to assess the safety of the designs that are coming at them, whether these are advanced reactors or whether they're the light water technology of today. So I remain highly confident in a strong regulator that we have at the NRC.
Turning to the Refuel Act, I am generally interested in changes that ease the licensing burden on technologies that can help reduce the amount of spent fuel we have to deal with. But I do think that efforts to export those technologies overseas, to overseas nations, should still be subject to licensing. So, Dr. Huff, can you speak to the importance of ensuring that bad actors do not get a hold of reprocessing technologies, especially from a non-proliferation standpoint?
Thank you, Congresswoman. It is pivotal that nations and bad actor terrorist groups do not get access to the capability to build enrichment facilities or reprocessing facilities that would supply material for atomic weapons. We have a great deal of expertise and capability securing such facilities here in the United States, and we have a robust export control policy that, if maintained, prevents this. International cooperation and engagement also relies on our technical leadership here in the United States. And so we have a strong voice at those tables around nuclear energy, nuclear non-proliferation policy, especially at the IAEA, when we are leading in the nuclear power industry. And so it goes hand in hand, those regulations in the export control space,